All right. Is it helpful? The comments I have made of the thing, they need to be entered in here. Who will do that for me? Give somebody this article on a key. Okay, Michael will do it. Just enter them in square brackets, and then I'll integrate them. Okay. All right. I'm sure you're bubbling with questions, are you? All right. Yes.
How's your research with Buzz Aldrin's lab coming?
Pardon?
The research you were doing with the Buzz Aldrin's lab?
At the lab in India?
No, the lab in California.
Institute of Noetic Science.
Oh, well, I haven't proceeded. They haven't invited me further because it all depends on their fundings and what their own research plans are. So it's been 2 or 3 years since I actually participated in something. One of the results has been published actually in one journal. I don't know if you know about that. That was the last experiment I did at the Institute of Noetic Sciences. You know about that? No. It's a little bit off the normal research that is going on meditation. It's a question of can the mind actually somehow affect natural forces? And there's a machine in physics called interferometer, which anybody here can describe what an interferometer is in physics?
Creates photons at a steady state, is that correct?
You know, I can't hear.
I'm sorry, creates photons?
That's right.
Steady state.
Right. It's because, you know, in quantum physics there is this always a question whether light is a photon series of photons or is it a beam of energy.
So it takes actually the interferometer takes.
Can you stand up and explain?
Okay. I'll try. So an interferometer, what it usually does, takes 2 light waves and as they meet, an interference pattern is formed depending on the phase of the wave. You get either bright light or dark light line. So that's called interference pattern.
Great. Can you also describe what is a Faraday chamber?
I cannot describe.
No.
All I know is you cannot get, your phone won't work in a Faraday chamber.
All right, okay. Faraday chamber is a chamber of steel that is 1 or 2 feet thick, completely soundproof, completely temperature proof. Nothing magnetic, no magnetic thing can penetrate it. No, and as she said, your cell phones can't work in between the walls. So they had me sit outside the Faraday chamber with interferometer inside and asked me to block the beam. Okay, Swami, now unblock. Now block. Now unblock. And we did that 9 times. And that result has been published.
So you
People
block with your mind? Or
what I do is is my method. Even if I want to teach you, I can't teach you because you haven't understood what Kundalini is. You have heard the lecture, but you haven't understood what it is. No, it's a. This description I've just given of Kundalini is very partial, because then we speak of the universal Kundalini, along the lines of which all the other energy waves of the universe flow. And the yogis know a little bit something about that. Actually, I repeated that experiment then from 1200 miles away after a few weeks with the same machine. The machine was still in the same place. And it was not quite as powerful, but it had some effects, similar effects. People just don't know what mind is, Now, the problem with this kind of research is that the scientists will ask me, well, what energy are you using? Can it be measured? No, it can't be measured. Well, then it's not scientific. We're seeing a phenomenon, but it can't be explained. See? And that is a problem with this kind of research. So it can never get funding. Otherwise I would go and do that, because I have a whole theory about it, about this particular part of the research. And I can tell you my theory on it. I think I probably spoke about it at the center once or not. You see, I'm not a scientist. I'm not trained in science. I pick up a little here and little there. So you speak of the four forces, four Einsteinian forces, the weak force, strong force, gravity and electromagnetic fields. And there are discrepancies. And where do they merge? Where do they meet? What is their connection with each other? How one affects the other? How one field affects another? And there are all sorts of problems in quantum physics. And there has been always a fallacy in the Western philosophies of a dichotomy between mind and matter. And that is the problem. And this dichotomy has been there way from the time of the Greeks. It has taken different forms, different interpretations, different terminologies. And even now, people don't know what mind is. There are all sorts of speculations about it. It's a sum total of the neuronal activity, and who triggers that neuronal activity, and when do the neurons held a conference that they will coordinate all their efforts, and so on. Very many unanswered questions. Yoga is based on a system of philosophy called Sankhya, and that is why we emphasize the Sankhya philosophy so much. In that there is no dichotomy between mind and matter, because mind is a material force. It is like all the other energy fields, all the other material, natural energy fields. And this is fundamental to the Sankhya system. Mind is a product of nature as much as your finger is a product of nature. Mind is the subtlest form of material energy. And in talking about the four forces, because of this fallacious concept of mind versus matter,